Our subject for discussion today will focus on the salient provisions of Republic Act 4136, basically known as the Land Transportation Code of the Philippines. Knowing the salient provisions of Republic Act 4136 is not only important in taking the criminology licensure examination, but this is also significant because this will serve as a guide in traffic investigation and traffic management. To start, let us define first what is motor vehicle. According to Republic Act 4136, motor vehicle shall mean any vehicle propelled by any power other than that muscular power using the public highways, but excepting road rollers, trolley cars, street sweepers, sprinklers, lawn mowers, bulldozers, graders, forklifts, amphibian trucks, and cranes if not used on public highways, vehicles which run only on rails or tracks, and tractors, trailers, and traction engines of all kinds used exclusively for agricultural purposes. So based sa definition sa motor vehicle sa Republic Act 4136, ang motor vehicle kato lamang vehicle propelled by a power pero walay labot ang vehicle propelled by a muscular power. Unsa man to mga vehicles propelled by a muscular power? Sa to ang own dialect, natay means of transportation nga ginatawag og potpot or bisikleta. These are vehicles propelled by muscular power, and according to Republic Act 4136, kana sila dili pwedeng tawgon nato nga motor vehicles. Naapay lain nga exemption sa definition sa motor vehicles. As what you can see on your screen, ang road rollers, trolley cars, street sweepers, sprinklers, lawn mowers, bulldozers, graders, forklifts, amphibian trucks, cranes if not used on public highways, vehicles which run only on rails or tracks, and tractors, trailers, and traction engines of all kinds used exclusively for agricultural purposes are not classified in the definition of motor vehicle under Republic Act 4136. So ang pangutan na karon is naatay bag-o karon nga invention kani ginatawag nato og e-vehicles or electric vehicles. Now, ang pangutan na siguro is ma-consider ba nato ang electric vehicles, di ba, naamtay mga electric cars or electric bicycles, ma-consider ba nato ni sila nga ma-consider ba nato nga motor vehicles under Republic Act 4136? Again, as far as the definition is concerned, under the law, dili pwedeng ma-appeal or wala na appeal ang e-vehicles or electric vehicles under sa definition sa motor vehicles in Republic Act 4136. Gani, there is if I am not mistaken, there is a bill right now that is pending at the if I'm not mistaken, it's in the House of Representatives or at the Senate that will regulate the use of e-vehicles. Why? Simply because e-vehicles are vehicles that are exempted also in the definition of motor vehicle in Republic Act 4136. So there has to be another law nga mag-regulate sa paggamit sa ginatawag nato og e-vehicles. So ang e-vehicles dili kinahanglan nga mag-renew ka sa registration sa LTO. Ngano man wala man siya na-covered sa Land Transportation Code of the Philippines. Next, compulsory registration of motor vehicles. All motor vehicles and trailer of any type must be registered with the Land Transportation Office. Any registration of motor vehicles not renewed on or before the date fixed by the LTO shall become delinquent and invalid. So Republic Act 4136 mandates every driver or every owner of a motor vehicle to renew the registration every year. So kung nakay motorcycle, makita nimo or mabalaan nimo kung kanusa ka mag-renew based on the last digit of the plate number. Say for example, kung ang imo nga motor, ang plate number niya is 1 ang last, subot ipasabot that you have to renew the registration every January. 2 corresponds with the month of February. So kung 2 ang imo nga last digit sa imong mga plate number, that means mag-renew ka every February. Okay? So kung dili nimo ma-renew on or before the date fixed by the LTO, the motor vehicle shall be considered as delinquent or invalid ang iyang registration. The next one is registration classification. So there are only 4 classifications of motor vehicles as far as registration is concerned. Vehicles can be classified as for hire, or diplomatic, or government, or the last one is private. Now let us differentiate the 4 registration classification. The first one is private. Motor vehicles registered under this classification shall not be used for hire under any circumstance. So mao ni katong mga motor vehicles nga dili pwedeng pampasahero. Siguro ang question karon is, how about katong mga habal-habal? Diba? Or natay ginatawag og motorcycle taxi nga naa karon sa Manila. Well, technically speaking, ang paghabal-habal is a violation under Republic Act 4136 simply because ang motor nga gigamit is dili pwede nga pampasahero. But there is again a regulation right now in Manila nga nag-allow sa habal-habal or ginatawag nila kini og angkas. Alright? So lahi ang balaod nga nag-regulate sa angkas which is different from Republic Act 4136. So katong private vehicles nga gimin diri sa Republic Act 4136 is basically katong mga vehicles nga dili ginagamit sa pampasahero. Katong ginagamit nga pampasahero nga motor vehicles, ma-classify to siya under for hire registration classification. Sa for hire, motor vehicles registered under this classification are those covered by certificates of public convenience or special permits issued by the Board of Transportation and shall be subject to the provisions of the Public Service Act and the rules and regulations issued thereunder as well as the provisions of this act. So mo ni katong mga motor vehicles nga ginagamit sa pampasahero. The third classification is government. Motor vehicles owned by the government of the Philippines or any of its political subdivisions shall be registered under this classification. So basically katong mga sakyanan nga owned by the government, maklasify siya sa ikatulong nga registration classification. The last one is diplomatic. Motor vehicles owned by the foreign governments or by their duly accredited diplomatic officers in the Philippines and used in the discharge of their official duties. So katong mga foreigners or mga aliens who are not Filipinos or mga diplomat nga gagamit sa ilang motor vehicles nga kaugalingon from their respective countries shall be under the fourth classification, which is diplomatic. Pero take note, sa Republic Act 4136, tourists bringing their own motor vehicles to the Philippines may, however, without registering such motor vehicles, use the same during but not after 90 days of their sojourn. So basically, katong mga tourists or mga foreigners from other countries nagadala sa ilang kaugalingon nga motor vehicles diri sa Pilipinas, pwede nilang gamiton ang ilang motor vehicles within 90 days. Okay? Kaya kung mulaps na og 90 days, the motor vehicle shall not be operated unless registered in accordance with this act and the corresponding registration fees paid. So again, ang allowable nga time for a foreigner or for a tourist to use his motor vehicles in the Philippines is only 90 days. Kung gamiton pa niya beyond 90 days, ang mahitabo is kinahanglan niyang gi-registered ang iyang motor vehicle in accordance with Republic Act 4136. So asa man siya madto? Ang driver o ang owner sa motor vehicle will have to go to the Land Transportation Office and have the motor vehicle be registered. Let us go now to the next provision. Duty to have license. It shall be unlawful for any person to operate any motor vehicle without having in his possession a valid license to drive a motor vehicle. The license shall be carried by the driver at all times. So katong ga-own or katong ganahan nga mo drive og motor vehicle, under the law, the person is required to have a license. So kung walay license, that means there is a violation of the provisions of Republic Act 4136, because the law again regulates that there is a need for the driver to have a license before he can operate a motor vehicle. Kano sa man makonsidered nga valid ang license? Makonsidered siya nga valid ang license once wala pa siya na-expired. Okay? Wala pa na-expired. Kaya kung na-expire na siya, let's say for example, supposedly, mag-renew ka sa imong lisensya sa imong nga birthday, niya imong birthday is November 25, niya, wala nimo na-renew, ni-operate kang motor vehicle, kato imong lisensya shall be considered as invalid. Why? Expired naman ang imong nga license. The law also regulates that the license shall be carried by the driver at all times. So, dili mo tayo pasabot nga kung na kay lisensya, imo ibilin sa balay. So, dapat imong dalon ang imong lisensya while ga-operate ka sa imong nga motor vehicle. Munay regulation nga gi-mandate sa Republic Act 4136. Driver's licenses can only be categorized into two. Ang una is non-professional, the other one is professional. We will be discussing what are the qualifications for a person to be eligible for non-professional driver's license and what are also the qualifications under professional driver's license. Perhaps mangutana ka karon, sir, asa man dayon na belong ang student permit? Remember guys that under the law in Republic Act 4136, ang mga drivers nga naay student permit, maka-operate lamang sila og motor vehicle once na sila'y usa ka tawo o kanang tawhana na siya'y non-professional or professional driver's license. So meaning kung ang imuha is student permit lang ka, student permit lang ang nasa imuha, dili siya matawag nga lisensya. Nga naman, again, usa ka pwede maka-drive, let's say, before ka maka-drive sa imuha nga motorcycle, kinahanglang na kay laste, na ay ga-accompany sa imuha nga another individual bearing with him his non-professional or professional driver's license. So in my opinion again, duha lang ka klase ang licenses, non-professional and professional driver's license. The following are requirements or qualifications for professional driver's license. 18 years of age, possesses a valid student driver's permit for at least 6 months, NBI or police or court clearance, medical certificate, TIN or taxpayer's identification number, passed written and practical exams. Other qualifications: physically and mentally fit to operate a motor vehicle, able to read and write in Filipino or English, must not be a drug user and or alcoholic, must be clean, neat, and presentable. So, muna yung mga requirements or qualifications that a person needs to meet before he will be qualified for professional driver's license. On the other hand, these are the requirements or qualifications for non-professional driver's license. 17 years of age, the student permit at least 1 month old to be valid. Medical certificate, must have passed the written and practical examinations. Taxpayer's identification number. Other qualifications: physically and mentally fit to operate a motor vehicle, able to read and write in Filipino or English, must not be a drug user and or alcoholic, must be clean, neat, and presentable. By the way guys, ang TIN or tax identification number adto na nimo kuhaon dito sa BIR. So if you think nga wala pa kay TIN or gikan sa BIR, so what you need to do is to procure first a TIN at the BIR kay usa na siya sa requirements sa pagkuha sa non-professional driver's license. Kanang student permit nga gi-refer dire sa non-professional o sa professional mo ni katong so what I mentioned a while ago, permit nga pwede ka nga makadrive as a student driver. Okay? But then again, before ka mo drive, nga student permit lang ang nasa imong nga position, there is a need that you will be accompanied by a person bearing with him his non-professional or professional driver's license. Unfortunately, just this year, there is a new requirement. Okay? A completion certificate for a theoretical driving course or TDC for new student driver permits and foreigners with expired permits. The certificate will be given upon a completion of a 15-hour course. So, katong mukuha og student permit, right? Katong mukuha og student permit, kinahanglang mupakita sila sa ilang at TDC or a certificate for a theoretical driving course. Unsa may naa sa certificate? Kinahanglan naka-reflect dito sa certificate kung pila ka oras nga under ka sa TDC. Kay ang requirement under the new rule or new regulation is that kinahanglan na kay at least or a minimum of 15-hour training under sa theoretical driving course. On the other hand, for a new driver's license will be required to submit a completion certificate for a practical driving course or PDC if their student driver's permit were issued from August 3 onwards. Ang August 3 dire nga bot ipasabot August 3 to 2020. The certificate will be given upon completion of at least 8 hours of practical driving lessons. So bot ipasabot ani kung mukuha kag non-professional driver's license. Unya, ang usa sa requirements sa non-professional driver's license is ang student permit. Nya ang student permit imong nakuha gikan sa let's say August 4. Ang sa rule is that katong student driver permit nga gi-issued from August 3, 2020, ang bearer ato or ang mukuha ato or ang mugamit ato para pagkuha sa non-professional or professional driver's license, kinahanglan nga naa siya ipakita nga PDC or practical driving course. Unsa may nasa practical driving course, kinahanglan naka-reflect dito ang 8 hours nga practical driving lesson. So mo ni mga bagong nga requirements karon kung mo process kag bagong student permit, kung mo process kag non-professional driver's license o mo process ka og professional driver's license. Ang pangutana is, sir, mo renew lang ko sa ako nga non-professional driver's license or mo renew lang ko sa ako ang professional driver's license. Kinahanglan pa ba ko nga mokuha og PDC or practical driving course? Under the rule, dili na kinahanglan. Nga numan, mag-renew raman ka. Ang giingon diri sa rule, under sa new requirement, for a new driver's license. Okay? So meaning, ikan ka sa student permit, mukuha kag non-professional driver's license o mukuha kag professional driver's license, o kinahanglan ka mupakita o ginatawag na to og PDC. Kung wala kay PDC, o under the new regulation, dili ka pwede nga mukuha og new driver's license. Next, renewal or replacement of lost license. Any license not renewed on or before the last working day prior to the expiry date of such shall become delinquent and invalid. For a renewal of a delinquent license, there shall be collected as delinquency fee in addition to the basic fee as prescribed. So, buti pa sabot, kung expired na ang imuhang nga lisensya, tida say ang imuhang birthday again, nga maoy time nga mag-renew kasi imong license is November 25. Dayong ni renew ka pagka December na. So, na kay penalty. Ang tawag na delinquency fee kay imong bayaran on top of the basic pay nga imong ibayad dapat for the renewal of the license. In case the license has been lost or cannot be produced, the licensee shall apply for a duplicate of the original on file by filing a sworn statement that such license has been lost and that a thorough and diligent search was futile. So this actually happened to me in the past. Nga my driver's license was inserted in my wallet and my wallet was stolen in front of the convention center in Dumaguete City. So what I did was, a requirement ani para makakuha ka sa imong duplicate, mo pa-blatter ka, alright? Pa-blatter ka sa nearest police station, you state or you explain to the authorities or you explain to the police authorities of what happened nganong nawala ang imuhang driver's license. Kung nawala lang ni sa inyong balay, again, ipa-blatter na lang yun sa police station nga nawala ang imuhang lisensya. Tapos, imong gi-search unta, pero pag-search nimo dili na gyud makitaan. Pag na nakay-blatter, you ask for the permission coming from the police authorities to have it photocopied. Alright? Kung i-photocopy na katong blatter nga ga-contain sa facts nga nawala, related nga nawala imong lisensya, ang photocopy ani kinahanglan certified true copy, right? Sa photocopy butangan siya og certified true copy. You bring that copy to a lawyer tapos mukuha kag affidavit of loss. Right? Ang tawag is affidavit of loss. Sa affidavit of loss dito naka-reflect kung unsay nahitabo nganong nawala ang imong license. Once you already have the affidavit of loss, make sure nga notarize siya sa lawyer. Once notarized na, you bring the document to the Land Transportation Office and make that as a supporting document of your claim nga nawala imong lisensya and you are asking for a duplicate. So after undergoing a process, ang imuhang lisensya or duplicate sa license, imuhang ma-procure or imong makuha or ma-issue sa imuha. The following are reasons a license can be revoked. 1. Willful mispresentation with respect to material information in one's application. So basically, munig, buti pa sabot ani, nigamit kag laing tawo to take the written examination on behalf sa imuha, tapos ang imuha nga lang gidala. This is an example of willful mispresentation. So i-revoke tong lisensya. Connivance with the officer in the irregular conduct of examinations or issuance of a license. Example ani katong mubayad ka para di lang ka makatake og written examination sa Land Transportation Office. Mukunay ka atong LTO officer, bayad ka, di ka pati kung nag-exam, kung masakpan ka ang imong lisensya, i-revoke na sa LTO. Another, falsification of documents. Imo nga birth certificate, sayo pang imo ang gihatag. Cheating during examinations, na kay kodigo. Okay, during the exam or written examination. Driving a motor vehicle used in the commission of a crime. Member ka sa usa ka gang and you plan to murder a particular individual. Tapos gagamit kag motor vehicle, ang lisensya ana sa driver pwede nga gi-revoke sa LTO. Next, transferring, lending, or otherwise allowing any person to use his or her license. This is the most common one. So para unsa lang para maka-eskapo sa checkpoint, ang gamiton nga lisensya is katong license from other person. Kung masakpan, that is also a ground for the revocation of the driver's license. 3 violations of any provisions of this act or any municipal or city ordinance relating to motor vehicle traffic with a period of 1 year can also be a ground for the revocation. Non-professional driver's license holder has been found to have been driving a motor vehicle under the influence of alcohol, dangerous drugs, and other similar substances for the second time conviction. So, katong mo inom, okay? Mo inom, tapos mo drive, makadisgrasya og laing tao, in the second time nga conviction, kung mao ra dya po'y rason nga no nakadisgrasya og laing tao, pwedeng i-revoke ang iyang license. The last one is reckless driving committed after the third offense by a non-professional driver's license holder. As I have stated a while ago, no student driver shall operate a motor vehicle unless possessed of a valid student driver's permit and accompanied by a duly licensed driver. Again, before mo operate, before mo drive ang individual with a student permit, kinahanglan there has to be a person accompanying the student driver, and that person shall bear with him it's either non-professional driver's license or professional driver's license. Now, these are the qualifications or requirements for student driver's permit. Must be at least 16 years old, must be physically and mentally fit to operate a motor vehicle, must be able to read and write in Filipino or English, must not be a drug user and or alcoholic, must be clean, neat and presentable, original and photocopy of birth certificate, TIN or taxpayer's identification number, notarized parent or guardian letter of consent. Ganun kinahanglan nun man eh. Simply because the person is still under 18 years old. Below maturity man siya. So kinahanglan nga na ay consent or letter of consent coming from the parents or kung walay parents, pwede ang guardian. For 19 years old and above, kinahanglan ang authenticated birth certificate with official receipt, any legal or government issued documents, and TIN. So kung ang mukuha og student permit 20 anyos na, dili na kinahanglan og letter of consent. Why? Beyond naman siya sa age of maturity. So ang age of maturity ang atong gi-refer diri is kanang 18 years old. So if you already have the driver's license which will allow you to drive, the next thing that you have to remember is the provisions of Republic Act 4136 which is relative to the maximum allowable speeds. So unsa may maximum nga dagan sa imo nga motor vehicle kung naa ka sa particular highway or particular nga roadway. Now, in your screen makita nimo ang type of the road, the maximum allowable speed for passenger cars and motorcycles. On the last column you can see maximum allowable speed for motor trucks and buses. So kung nag-travel ka sa expressways, ang expressways ani kaning sa Manila or provincial highways kaning sa atoa, ang maximum allowable speed for passenger cars and motorcycles is 80 km per hour. Okay? Kung saan niyo pagkabalo nga ang imong dagan is 80 km per hour, makita nimo na sa imong nga speedometer. Kung motorcycle ang imong nga gidrivean, makita nimo na sa iya nga speedometer. Same as cars or passenger trucks. Makita nimo kung pila dalagan by taking a look on the speedometer. While the maximum allowable speed for motor trucks and buses in expressways and provincial highways shall only be 50 km per hour. On multiple lane avenues, the maximum allowable speed for passenger cars and motorcycles shall only be 40 km per hour, while the maximum allowable speed for motor trucks and buses shall only be 30 km per hour. For side roads and inner city roads, kananade sa syudad, kung passenger cars and motorcycles, ang allowable speed niya maximum is 30 kilometers per hour. On the other hand, for motor trucks and buses, ang iyang allowable speed shall only be 30 km per hour. For busy crowded streets, ang maximum allowable speed for passenger cars and motorcycles is only 20 km per hour. Kanang alagian nga daghan ang mga tawo, right? Ang market sa Dumaguete City, daghan kayo nga mga tawo nga maglabang-labang sa kalsada. So, what you need to do is that under the law, it is regulated nga kinahanglan ang imong dalagan pinakataas 20 kilometers per hour lang ka. Di kayo mo pahadyong kagikan sa Mercury Drugstore padulong pasulod sa Changi. Kung masulod ka sa Changi, kinahanglan ang imong allowable speed lang na maximum is 20 kilometers per hour. Kaya dili pwede nga magpaturatura under the law. Kung trucks and buses, ang dalagan po, same lang Japon, 20 kilometers per hour. But we have to remember that under the law, na ay exemptions sa maximum allowable speeds. For example, a physician or his driver when the former responds to emergency calls. So, dili pwede nga, mo respond ka sa emergency call, let's say na disgrasya sa unahan, tapos physician nga mo responde, ayan dalagan 10 or 20 kilometers per hour na ra. Kaya pag-abot sa unahan, tungkol sa kahinay, may tabo, namatay na tong na disgrasya. So kinahanglan nga exempted sila sa allowable speed. So pwede siyang mo go beyond sa regulated nga speed. Kung physician or his driver nga ga-respond sa emergency calls. Pero kung physician or driver nga normal lang ang dalagan, walay emergency, adili pwede nga ma-exempted. Ma-exempted lang again kung naay emergency, ni-respond sila sa kanang emergency. Number 2, the driver of a hospital ambulance on the way to and from the place of accident or other emergency. Again, ang giingon diri sa Republic Act 4136, kinahanglan ang pagpadagan is relative to the response of a particular accident or emergency. Kaya kung gikan sa ospital, ka-drive kag ambulance, muhapit ka sa imuhang nga balay, kanayan imong gitunol, pero gapakusog ka, pagpadulong sa imong balay nya, wala kay adtuon nga emergency, wala po kay ihatod nga patient, dili siya pwede nga ma-appeal sa exemption sa Republic Act 4136. Kinahanglan ang driver sa ambulance ga-responde or gahatod sa injured individual. The third one is any driver bringing a wounded or sick person for emergency. Now, the fourth one is the driver of a motor vehicle belonging to the armed forces while in use for official purposes in times of riot, insurrection, or evasion. So again, ang katong motor vehicles sa AFP or Armed Forces of the Philippines are also exempted from the regulated speed limit. In addition, the driver of a vehicle, when he or his passengers are in pursuit of a criminal, are also exempted from the allowable speed limits. A law enforcement officer who is trying to overtake a violator of traffic laws are also exempted. Let us say hot pursuit. Sa hot pursuit arrest, kinahanglan nga let us say pag checkpoint gidasmagan ang police officer sulaton. So paglanat kinahanglan nga exempt ang officer sa allowable nga speed limit. So pwede silang go beyond. The last one is the driver officially operating a motor vehicle of any fire department. Kinahanglan again ang pag-respond ani or ang paggamit sa fire department vehicle, gigamit siya on responding a particular emergency. Alright? Kaya kung wala nag-responde, normal lang ang pag-drive, kaya nalay gihatod, tapos nakadasmag, dili sila exempted under sa maximum allowable nga speed. Kinahanglan nga, official, niresponde sa emergency, ang fire truck, tapos they are exempted from the maximum allowable speed. The most common problems right now with the drivers in the Philippines is not just on the failure to follow the maximum allowable speeds. Ang kalagmitan po nga problema karon is the lack of training, the lack of acquaintance, or the lack of familiarization on the rules in overtaking a vehicle. So I hope nga atong i-review sa pag-review nato sa mga rules in overtaking a vehicle, ma-apply po nato ni while ga-drive ta sa highway. Una, the driver of any motor vehicle overtaking another vehicle proceeding in the same direction shall pass at a safe distance to the left thereof and shall not again drive to the right side of the highway until safely clear or such overtaken vehicle. Ang kaning principle ma-apply ni siya kung 2 lanes, right? Duha ka lanes, right? Kay kung upat ka lanes, lahi na pud ang iya nga ang regulation. So let us say for example, duha lang ka lanes, padulong ka sa Bayawan City, dapat again according to the rule of law, ang imong direction sa pag-overtake should be at the at the left portion. Okay? Pag overtake nimo sa left portion, make sure nga ni signal na kaani. Pag overtake nimo diri ka sa left direction, before ka moadto balik sa right, kaya naka-overtake na ka, make sure nga walay lain nga vehicle nga imo ang pwede nga mandasmagan. Except that on a highway having 2 or more lanes for the movements of traffic in one direction, the driver of a vehicle may overtake and pass another vehicle on the right. Sa unang nga rule, or sa unang nga regulation, ang pag-overtake mo, dapat ang direction nasa left side. Dahil balik ka sa right kung safe na. Pero ang exemption, kung 4 lanes, or butang ta, duha ka lanes, tapos one way, pwede kang maka-overtake diri sa right side. I hope you understand. Let's say for example, ang bago na itong kalsada karon from Bayawan to Dumaguete City, 4 na ka lanes. Duha ka lanes, in one direction padulong sa Bayawan, duha ka lanes, direction to Dumaguete City. So, sa may bato nino kung padulong ka sa Bayawan. So, kung nakadiri sa pikas nga lane, tapos ang imong overtaken is na diri sa same nga lane, pwede kang mo-overtake diri sa right side. Alright? Pwede kang mo-overtake diri sa right side. Pero kung 2 lanes lang again, as I have mentioned a while ago, 2 lanes lang, ang usa ka lane padulong sa Dumaguete, ang usa ka lane padulong sa Bayawan City, dapat ang imuhang nga direction sa pag-overtake should be at the left side always. Okay? Left side always. Pwede lang ka maka-overtake again sa right side sa imuhang nga overtaken nga vehicle once ang lanes duha, tulo, upat, or more than 4. Okay? Next, nothing in this section shall be construed to prohibit a driver overtaking and passing upon the right another vehicle which is making or about to make a left turn. So, buti pasabot, bahala nag-una, duha lang ka lanes in opposite direction, pero mo turn right siya, o mo turn left rather. Kung ang vehicle nga imong overtaken, mo left turn, right? Mo left turn, pwede ka nga maka-overtake diri sa right side. Kung mo left turn, okay? Pero kung magpa-right turn ang vehicle nga imong overtaken, it will be very impractical kung mo overtake ka diri sa right side. Kaya kung right turn siya, dahil overtake ka diri pud sa right side, there will be collision between you and the other vehicle. So kung right turn siya, dapat ang imuhang direction sa pag-overtake should be left side. Pero kung left turn ang iyang direction, pwede ka nga maka-overtake diri sa right side, irrespective kung ang lanes opposite or duha lang kabuok. Okay? Basta ni left turn ang driver sa vehicle nga imo nga overtaken. On the other side, ang responsibility sa driver sa vehicle nga overtaken should be this. The driver of a vehicle about to be overtaken and passed by another vehicle approaching from the rear shall give way to the overtaking vehicle on suitable and audible signal being given by the driver of the overtaking vehicle and shall not increase the speed of his vehicle until completely passed by the overtaking vehicle. So, sa may buti pasabutan muna'y pinaka-common nga problema sa Dumaguete City. Right? Usa ni sa mga problema. Kaning dili na train, kulag seminar nga mga driver. Mo-overtake na ka, pag-overtake nimo, pagtapat nimo sa vehicle nga imong overtaken, ang vehicle nga imong tang overtaken ni pakusog og maayo. So, di ka ka-overtake. Tapos, naisugata, ang nahitabo na sandwich ka sa tunga. Muna'y makaingon nga naay collision. So, alakansi ka nga naa sa tunga. Kaya nga naman, wala ni giveaway ang vehicle nga imong tang overtaken. So, unsa man tay duty? Unsa may responsibility sa driver sa vehicle nga overtaken? Ang iyang buhaton dapat mo signal siya or mo patingog siya sa iya nga busina, tapos mo reduce siya og speed and allow the vehicle on the rear side to overtake. Okay? Muna yung responsibility sa driver sa vehicle nga overtaken. Para masabtan jud, let us explain more on the restrictions on overtaking and passing. I include some illustrations para masabtan sa inyo kung unsa gud ang proper, okay? Ang proper nga pamaagi sa pag-overtake or pag-pass sa usa ka vehicle. Letter A. The driver of a vehicle shall not drive to the left side of the center line of a highway in overtaking or passing another vehicle proceeding on the same direction unless such left side is clearly visible
and is free of incoming traffic. So, sa ibot ipasabot, before ka mo left turn, kay mo overtake ka diri nga side, you make sure nga paglantaw nimo diri sa opposite nga direction, walay lain nga vehicle nga approaching. Okay? Kay kung nailay nga vehicle nga approaching, tapos mo left direction ka para mo overtake diri nga side, tapos naay opposite nga vehicle, there will be a collision, possible din siya, a collision between this vehicle, and this vehicle. Meaning, tulo ka vehicles nga mag-collide. Malahig ang usa ka vehicle nga imo nga overtaken. So, kinahanglan ang imong pag-overtake, unsay buhaton, lantawon usa nimo kung wala by approaching vehicle sa opposite direction. Unsa gani ang pamagi sa pag-overtake kung walay vehicle sa opposite direction? Kinahanglan mo plaster ka diri sa left side, okay? Make sure naka-signal ka ni plaster ka sa left side, balik ka diri sa right side. Kinahanglan dili pud suod kaayo sa vehicle nga imo nga gi-overtaken. Di kay pag overtake nimo, suod pa kayo, di ni kalit ka og brake, so ang may tabo madasmag ang vehicle nga imo nga gi-overtaken. So kinahanglan nga naa kay kani bitaw ginatawag og sakto nga seminar. Right? Nakay sakto nga seminar, nakay sakto nga decorum or behavior sa imo nga pag-drive para walay madisgrasya. Sunod, letter B. The driver of a vehicle shall not overtake or pass another vehicle proceeding in the same direction when approaching the crest of a grade, not upon a curve in the highway, where the driver's view along the highway is obstructed within a distance of 500 feet ahead, except on a highway having 2 or more lanes for movement of traffic in one direction where the driver of a vehicle may overtake or pass another vehicle. Again, makita nimo sa illustration, kung yung ginatawag og crest of a grade, kanang paangat, dayong mukalit og patugbong. Dayong mukalit na pod og paangat. So, duha ka situation ani, duha ka illustration. Una, crest of a grade, paangat, patugbong. Kung pagapaangat ka, dili ka makabalungan na ay sugata nga gapadulong. Ano man, ang imo nga view will be black because of the crest. Kaya ni action man siya og bungtod. So meaning, di ka pwede o di ka pataka og overtake. Kaya dili ka makita kung unsa ang nasa unahan. Makita nimo ni sa illustration. Ikaduha, kung curved highway siya, kinahanglan dili ka mo overtake. Ano man, dili nimo again makita kung unsa ang gapadulong ahead in the opposite direction. Kaya kung curved highway, tapos di-overtake ka, naay gapadulong, what will happen is, there will be an accident. Pero naay exception. Okay? The exception is that, again, kung ang imong pagpadulong sa bayawan, dida say, duha ka lanes, padulong sa bayawan, ang motor vehicle nga imong overtaken nasa first lane, pwede nimo nga maka-overtake ka by going to the second lane. Granting nga naay duha ka lanes in one direction. Duha ka lanes padulong sa Bayawan City. O kung magpadulong ka sa Dumaguete City, duha japon ka lanes, nasa first lane ang vehicle, tapos curved line or crest of a grade, pwede na ka maka-overtake, granting nga na duha ang imuha nga giagian nga or duha ka book lanes sa usa ka direction. So pwede lang. Pero kung granting nga duha lang ka lanes, ang usa ka lane padulong sa Bayawan, ikaduha nga lane padulong sa Dumaguete City, meaning 2 lanes in opposite direction, dili ka pwede nga mo-overtake again sa curved nga highway o sa crest of a grade nga highway. That's the rule under the law. Sunod, letter C. At any railway grade crossing or at any intersection of highways, unless such intersection or crossing is controlled by traffic signal, or unless permitted to do so by a watchman or a peace officer, except on a highway having 2 or more lanes for movement of traffic in one direction, where the driver of a vehicle may overtake or pass another vehicle on the right. So para masabtan atong kwaoning una nga illustration. So between vehicle A and vehicle B, let us say for example, na traffic officer sa tunga, tapos mo signal ang traffic officer nga instead of A, B nga vehicle ang pwedeng mo move og una, din wala tay mahimo, ikaw nga letter A nga vehicle dapat mo give way ka. Okay? Mo give way ka. Pero kung walay kung walay traffic enforcer or walay signal, walay traffic lights sa intersection, again, under the rule of law, walay dapat nga overtaking or passing nga mahitabo nga naman intersection man na. Gawas again kung naay traffic lights nga gamando sa traffic or naay traffic officer. Sa ilalom nga illustration, you can see vehicle yellow and vehicle blue. Pareha sila og direction, nila say padulong ni sila sa bayuan. Pila man ka book lanes? Ang lanes una, duha, ikatulo, meaning tulo ka lanes usa lang ka direction. So tulo man ka lanes, nag-occupy man ang duha ka vehicle, ang blue o yellow sa ikaduha nga lane, asa man ang direction sa pag-overtake. Pwede again sa left, pwede pod sa right. Again, pwede sa left, pwede pod sa right. Nga naman, naamay tulo ka lanes, as I have stated a while ago, kung 2 or more lanes gani, pwedeng mo overtake gikan sa right or padulong sa left. Provided of course, nga sa unahan, kung mag-left turn ka or mag-right direction, kinahanglan nga sa unahan, wala po kay vehicle nga pwede nimo nga madasmagan. Next, letter D. The driver of a vehicle shall not overtake or pass or attempt to pass any other vehicle proceeding in the same direction between any points indicated by the placing of official temporary warning or caution signs indicating that men are working on the highway. This is the most common problem with the drivers here in Dumaguete City. Naalagan ni nakabutang nga cone. Okay? Warning signs. Nakabutan nito, dako kayo, men at work. Alright? Mo overtake pagod sa another vehicle. And that is the attitude that has to be corrected. Why? Because under the rule of law, dapat di ay, once na is sign, nakabutang, men are working on the highway, dapat walay passing or walay overtaking ang may tabo. Dapat, ang direction should be linear. Alright? It has to be linear, walay paunanay, walay padalaganay, pasutoy o padagan, dapat linear ang dalagan in one direction simply because na ay sign nga working on the highway. Letter E. The driver of a vehicle shall not overtake or pass or attempt to overtake or pass any other vehicle proceeding in the same direction in any no passing or overtaking zone. Now, kani nga illustration or kani nga signage, okay, kani nga sign, makita nimo ni as an indication that the zone is a no passing or overtaking zone. Once you can see this sign, that means as a driver, your duty is you should not overtake or you should not pass another vehicle. So I hope nasabtan ninyo ug ma-apply sa inyo while ga-drive mo sa highway ang mga principles or mga rules and regulations that you have to follow in passing or overtaking. Now, another rules and regulations cover on the right of way. Okay? So, napo tayo mga dapat nga mga guides according to Republic Act 4136 nga itong gi-follow para makabalota nga kita dapat ang muuna or kita dapat ang mu give way or kinsa nga vehicle ang naay right of way. Una, when two vehicles approach or enter an intersection at approximately the same time, the driver of the vehicle on the left shall yield the right of way to the vehicle on the right. Right? Klaro kayo ha? Again, when two vehicles approach or enter an intersection at approximately the same time, the driver of the vehicle on the left shall yield the right of way to the vehicle on the right. So if we will take a look on the first illustration, white vehicle and the blue vehicle, ang blue vehicle mo'y dapat na ay right of way. Nga naman nga ang white vehicle dapat ang muhatag og right of way sa blue nga vehicle, simply because kung ikaw mo'y driver sa white nga vehicle, ang blue nga vehicle nga imo nakita nasa imo nga right side. Okay? Naman sa imong right side, so meaning kanang nga vehicle mo nay dapat mo imong paunhon og palabang sa intersection. Kung ikaw pud ang driver sa blue vehicle, makita nimo nga ang white vehicle nasa imo nga left side. Okay? So naman ang vehicle nga white sa left side, buti pasabot ikaw mo'y naay right of way. Let us say for example lang niha, diri nga portion is Kangs. Okay? Kangs ni diri. Sunod sa Kangs is Li Plaza. Kaning niyo is padulong dito sa unahan sa Koska. Okay? Padulong siya sa Koska nga direction. So nag-abot sila diri nga intersection. So following the rules and regulations of Republic Act 4136, gadungan sila abot sa intersection, dapat kaning padulong sa Li Plaza mo'y muuna og labang sa intersection simply because siya mo'y naa sa right side. Okay? Siya mo'y naa sa right side. So kung driver ka sa white vehicle, asa man imo ang right side? Ang right side kani nga blue. Okay? So blue man, dapat ang blue mo'y pauno nimo padalagan. Pero kung ang blue nga vehicle padulong siya sa direction dere, dili padulong sa Li Plaza, kung dili gikan sa Li Plaza, paangat ang iyang direction, unya ikaw mo'y driver sa white vehicle, that means naa ka sa right of way. Ikaw mo'y muuna. Nganuman, ang kaninga vehicle paangat man, unya ang pagpaangat, ma-placed man siya sa left side. So ikaw nga nasa right, ikaw mo'y naay ginatawag og right of way. Illustration number 2, we have vehicle letter A. The other one is vehicle letter B. Let us say, for example, ikaw ang driver sa vehicle letter B. Now, kay ikaw may driver sa vehicle B, nga yellow nga vehicle, kung imong lantawon, asa man dapit ang red nga vehicle. Pag lantaw nimo ang red nga vehicle, nasa imo nga right side. Kay paangat man ka, diri man ka nga direction. So, asa man ang vehicle nga red? Naa siya sa imo nga right side. So naman siya sa imo nga right side, dapat ikaw mo'y mohunong pauna ang red nga vehicle or vehicle A nga mo cross sa intersection. Ikaw mo'y mohatag og right of way nga naman naa man ka sa left side ni vehicle A or kani nga red nga vehicle. Okay? I hope nasabtan ni kani nga rule or regulation sa right of way under Republic Act 4136. Next, letter B. The driver of a vehicle approaching but not having entered an intersection shall yield the right of way to a vehicle within such intersection or turning therein to the left across the line of travel of such first mentioned vehicle, provided the driver of the vehicle turning left has given a plainly visible signal of intention to turn as required in this act. Okay, na duha ka senaryo ani. Una, sa illustration ay vehicle red, vehicle blue. Kung ang vehicle red mo'y unang nakasulod sa intersection, dapat ikaw nga vehicle blue mohatag ka og right of way sa vehicle nga red simply because siya may nakauna sa intersection. The same dyan po nang mahitabo nga kung ni-signal ang unsalan ni kaning vehicle red, mag-left turn siya, tapos una siyang naabot sa intersection, dapat ikaw nga blue nga naulay ka, muhatag ka right of way ni vehicle red kay siya may nakauna sa intersection. Granting again, nga nag-signal ang vehicle red. Next, letter C. The driver within a business or residential district shall yield the right of way to a pedestrian crossing such highway within a crosswalk, except at intersections where the movement of traffic is being regulated by a peace officer or by a traffic signal. Every pedestrian crossing a highway within a business or residential district at any point other than a crosswalk shall yield the right of way of vehicles upon the highway. Again, natay duha ka scenario ani. Una, kani nga illustration. Ang tawag ani is zebra lines, alright? Usually makita nimo ni diha sa mga eskwelahan or sa mga malls at or mga kalsada at bang sa malls. Makita nimo ang zebra line. Ang zebra line diha dapat mo agi ang mga pedestrian. Take note, under Republic Act 4136, katong mga cadets diri nga naay mga motor vehicles. Basta gani naay galabang sa zebra lines, dapat ikaw nga driver mohunong ka, right? Mohunong ka. Gawas kung naay zebra lines diha, tapos naay traffic lights, dayon ningon ang traffic lights nga stop usa ang pedestrian, pero ni cross jud ang pedestrian bisag stop ang traffic sign para sa iyaha, ikaw nga vehicle na kay right of way. Ngano man ang traffic light gapa-stop man sa pedestrian, pero bisag ipa-stop siya ni cross man gud sa zebra line. So ikaw nga vehicle na kay right of way. Kay ni violate man siya sa traffic light. Pero kung walay traffic light, walay traffic enforcer, pareha sa liplasan, butang lang na to, nga walay traffic enforcer nga ga-regulate sa movement sa traffic, or walay traffic light at bang sa liplaza, pwede ka mo cross nga pedestrian. Ang tanan nga vehicles na ay mohatag dapat og right of way sa pedestrians nga ga-cross. Ikaduha nga scenario is wala siya crosswalk or wala siya zebra lines. Ang ginahitabuan nga illustration sa ikaduha, nag-jaywalking siya. Tawag ani jaywalking, kanang wa ka nilabang sa agi sa zebra lines. So nag-jaywalking man siya, ang mahitabuan ni, take note pedestrians nga ikaw magalabang, wa jud kay dag-anan, kung madasmagan ka kay jaywalking man ka. Okay? Wa kay dag-anan nga naman ang naay right of way ani nga illustration sa ikaduha is ang motor vehicles nga gadagan. Nganong sila na right of way? Ani sa ikaduha nga illustration simply because wala man ka ni cross diri sa zebra lines. Nag-jaywalking man ka. So ikaw matablaw kag lihay-lihay. Kay kung madasmagan ka na, wala man kay right of way. As stated again under the rule, at any point other than a crosswalk shall yield the right of way to vehicles upon the highway. So, dapat ang paglabang nimo dito jud ka sa zebra lines. Next, letter D. The driver of a vehicle upon a highway shall bring to a full stop such vehicle before traversing any through highway or railroad crossing, provided that when it is apparent that no hazard exists, the vehicle may be slowed down to 5 miles per hour instead of bringing it to a full stop. Ang record again is 5 miles per hour kung paglantaw nimo walay risk nga imo nga ma-encounter. But if possible, kung naay train nga siging gaagi ana nga railroad, dapat mo full stop ka. Right? Mo full stop ka before ka mo cross kay who knows, there is an impending danger and there is an incoming train traversing on the railway, tapos madasmagan ka, it could create a lot of damage on your part. Next, letter E. The driver of a vehicle entering a highway from a private road or drive shall yield the right of way to all vehicles approaching on such highway. Again, usapon na is pinaka-common in Dumaguete City. Kung gikan pa ka sa imong private garage, okay? Gikan pa ka sa imong private garage tapos mo imong direction sa pagpadagan padulong sa national or provincial highway. Dapat ikaw imong lantawon kung naabay gapadulong or approaching vehicles, because dapat ang right of way ana kanang vehicles traversing on the national or provincial highway. Ikaw nga gikan sa private garage or private highway, ikaw mo dapat muhatag og right of way sa motorcycles traversing in the national or provincial highway. Letter F. The driver of a vehicle upon a highway shall yield the right of way to police or fire department vehicles and ambulances when such vehicles are operated on official business and the drivers thereof sound audible signal of their approach. Again, the requirement para makatagag right of way sa police vehicles or fire vehicles, dapat ga-responde sila on a particular incident, emergency, or accident, or they are on official business. So, pwede nga ang pagpadagan or ang ilang vehicles mo na right of way sa highway. So, these are the regulations that we have to apply to ourselves as future drivers or as current drivers operating a motor vehicle in the highway. We already learned the regulations related to passing or overtaking vehicles. We also learned the regulations related to the right of way. So next is ang regulations for turning and parking. Okay? Letter A, the driver of any vehicle upon a highway before starting, stopping, or turning from a direct line shall first see that such movement can be made in safety, and if any pedestrian may be affected by such movement, shall give a clearly audible signal by sounding the horn, and whenever the operation of any other vehicle approaching or following may be affected by such movement, shall give a signal plainly visible to the driver of such other vehicles of the intention to make such movement. So again, dapat mo signal ka, imong i-blow ang imong horn to give the attention of the other drivers. Nga, sa imong intention nga, mo turn ka on the other direction. Before turning, either left or right, to be sure to give a signal at least 30 meters before you make the turn. This gives ample time and consideration to vehicles following behind. The requirement again, guys, is 30 meters before you make a turn. I think this also come out in the board examination, in the previous examinations of some criminology graduates. This measurement also came out in the board exam. Take note again, 30 ka metros, okay? Before ka mo left turn or right turn. So kung mo nakaiplano nga mo left turn ka, estimate nimo nga 30 metros na siya. Pag estimate mo nga 30 metros na gikan sa imong pag left turn or before ka mo left turn, dapat mo signal ka. Pag signal nimo 30 meters man, usa ka mo left turn. Di kay mo left turn ka or mo right turn ka, mo signal ka, dahil right turn po ka diretso. Adili mo ayo. Posible ka nga, madasmagan ana nga naman, apiki makayo on the rear vehicle. Ang kasunod nimo, apiki kayo na sila nga side. 1 meter lang ang distance. Tapos nikalit ka og signal pag right turn. Nga diretso ka right turn. Ang nahitabo, nadasmagan ka. So kinsa man sala? Ang sala imuha nga naman or na kay sala. Although na ay liability ang gadasmag sa imo, pero again on your side, na po kay sala nga naman ang pag-signal nimo 1 meter usa ka mo left or mo right turn, which is not mandated under Republic Act 4136. On the other side, pwede po kang mo gamit sa imo nga hand signals. For example, driver, kung mo left turn ka, pwede kang mo signal. Ganan ka nga, sure good nga, safe ayo pag left turn, gawas nga signal ka sa imo nga tail light, pwede po ka nga mo wave or mo extend sa imo nga hand. Like the first illustration. Ang second illustration, buti pasabot ana nga ang imo direction sa turning sa vehicle is right direction. Kung ang imo nga intention is to make a stop, right? Mo stop ka or mono sa imong vehicle, you could also make this signal or position sa imo nga arm para makabalo ang nasa likod nimo kung sa imong intention sa imong nga motor vehicle. Ikaw pud nga driver nga gasunod sa motor vehicles, make sure you familiarize, all right? You familiarize these signals. Kay basic pag-extend sa hand ang pagsabot nimo overtake. Di nahitabo magkadasmagana nanuan, right? O pag kani nga sa illustration, kay kulang makaog training as a driver, pag isas kamot, ang imong nahuna nga mulupad ang motor vehicle sa kaisa, dili mo ayo, may tabo, there will be accident or there will be collision that will be created if you do not know how to interpret the signals given by the driver of the motor vehicle. This is the rule that will apply in turning at intersections. The driver of a vehicle intending to turn or to run to the right at an intersection in turning shall keep as close as possible to the right-hand curb or edge of the highway. O sa man ang curb? Ang curb kaning edge sa highway. Okay? Ang edge sa highway o kanang pinakakilid sa highway. So as you can see in the illustration, kung mo right turn ka, dapat ay yung position pag right turn is diri ka dapat as close as possible to the right hand curb. Kay kung ang imo nga direction padulong or mukawat ka sa pikas nga lane, ang mahitabo that could create vehicular accident. Pero kung trailers siya, siguro kung trailers ay mo gigamit, posibleng makakawat ka sa pikas nga lane. Granting nga trailers. Kay kung ma-trailer, na-trailer ang imong motor vehicle, kung mo close ka sa possible right-hand curb, masangit man ang imong trailer. So, dapat mukawat ka sa left nga lane o sa pikas nga lane. Pero again, kung four-wheel vehicle lang, like say, car nimo or motorcycle lang, tapos ni dikawat ka sa pikas nga lane, that could create vehicular accident. Next, the driver of a vehicle intending to turn to the left shall approach such intersection in the lane for traffic to the right of and nearest to the center line of the highway, and in turning shall pass to the left of the center of the intersection. Let us say, for example, blue vehicle, red vehicle. So, unsa may proper, okay? Unsa may proper way of turning to the left. Okay? So, kung ang imong plasta daan is kung ikaw mo driver sa blue nga vehicle, ang plasta sa imong motor vehicle should be magpasentro ka, straight, paabot mo sa center, make sure nga nakasignal ka ani ha. Paabot sa center, liko ka dire nga lane. Munay correct nga side or correct nga pamaagi. Kung ni diretso ka dire ka nga pikas nga lane, that is an incorrect way of turning at intersection. Napoy uban, pinaka-common jud, this is very observable in Dumaguete City. Kung mo left turn sila, ang ilang nga direction pa diagonal, right? Diagonal ba gipana? Pa diagonal. Then diretso glikoan nga direction. So say netabo kay diagonal man, di nadasmagan sa pikas nga vehicle. Kay ang pag-diagonal nimo is a very wrong way of turning at intersection. Kung driver ka sa red vehicle, again, ang correct way is, diri ka dapat nga lane, dili sa pikas. Right? Muna siya pamaagi sa pag-turn sa vehicle sa intersection. So, motoy, mga regulations that you have to follow. Now, the next one is parking prohibited in specified places. Or munay mga lugar na dili ka pwede nga mo park sa imo nga motor vehicle. Dumaguete City, the most common problem right now that we have is the wrong parking of a lot of motorcycles, motor vehicles. And this cause a lot of traffic within the highways of Dumaguete City. So unsa man to mga lugar nga dili ka pwede nga mo park? Letter A, within an intersection. This is very understandable. Kung i-park ka sa intersection, may tabuan na, that would really create a lot of traffic. Crosswalk or kanang zebra lines. Within 6 meters of the intersection of the curb lines. Within 4 meters of the driveway entrance to an fire station. Kaya kung naa ka diha, may tabo, pag mo responde sila sa fire incident, that could create a delay of time of the response. Within 4 meters of a fire hydrant, kung saan may fire hydrant, diha makuha og tubig ang fire truck. So kung nakababag ang imong motor vehicle sa fire hydrant, paglisod og kuha ang fire truck og necessary water to suppress the fire. In front of a private driveway, kani common kayo, nanagani nakabutangan no parking, private driveway, butangan pagod og motor vehicle sa tunga. Maglisod o gawas o maglisod pasulod ang tag-iya sa vehicle sa private garage or private driveway. At any place where official signs have been erected prohibiting parking. Very common in the city. Why? You can even see a lot of violations. There is a no parking sign in front or adjacent to the no parking sign. Some drivers, right? Some drivers in the city are too naive. Some drivers of the city are too naive to follow the prohibiting parking sign. Some of the drivers would even park in front or adjacent at the parking sign. So this is one of the characteristics that should be prohibited because this actually create a lot of traffic congestions within the area. Another salient provision of Republic Act 4136 is on hitching to a vehicle. No person shall hang on to or ride on the outside or the rear end of any vehicle, and no person on a bicycle, roller skate, or other similar device shall hold fast to or hitch onto any moving vehicle, and no driver shall knowingly permit any person to hang on to or ride the outside or rear end of his vehicle, or allow any person on a bicycle, roller skate, or other similar device to hold fast or hitch to his vehicle. For short, makita nimo, like say for example, pedicab drivers in some municipalities, puno na ang nasa sulod, ang naitabo na ay passenger ni kabit. Okay? Ang word na itong ginagamit in Dumaguete City ka nang mukabit ka, dili kabit nga mamaye. Kabit ka sa, mukabit pa ka sa motor vehicle. Let us say, tricycle nga pasiruan, mukabit lang ka kay puno sa sulod. Ang driver ana has the responsibility on what will happen to the passenger making a hitching to a vehicle, because basically under the law that is not allowed. Same as musakay ka og jeepney nga ato lang kas gawas, alright? Ato lang kas gawas magkapot anang one of the metals nga naka-attach sa jeepney, tapos nakasagawas kay hangin kayo, dili pwede nga imo nang buhaton because that is hitching to a vehicle. And also the drivers are prohibited from allowing the person to make hitching into a vehicle. The last one is duty of driver in case of accident as mandated under RA 4136. No driver of a motor vehicle concerned in a vehicular accident shall leave the scene of the accident without aiding the victim except under any of the following circumstances. Again, the rule of law states that, the law provides that, if possible, ikaw nga nakadiskrasya should provide aid and assistance to the victim. Ngayon mo ang ginasmagan. Pero again natay exemptions. Kung sa may exemptions ani nga pwede lang kandi mo hatag assistance or aid. Una, if he is in imminent danger of being seriously harmed by any person or persons by reason of the accident. Let's say for example, nadasmagan nimo ang particular person. Pagkadasmag nimo niluka pa ang biktima. Tapos nidalagan ang mga relatives, right? Neighbors, relatives, kadala og sundan kay tigbason ka kay ikaw nakadasma. Ang alang mo provide pa kag assistance. All you have to do is patrutot kag padalagan. Asa makamadto? Dapat ang imong duty is you will surrender to a nearest police station and ask for security from the police personnel. Kay kung naa ka sa sulod sa police agency, mas safe ka dito mo nang gi-detain ka. Ikaduha, if he reports the accident to the nearest officer of the law, again dool nga police station. Or ikatulo, if he has to summon a physician or nurse to aid the victim. So pwede ka nga maka-eskapo, di ka maka-provide of assistance simply because you go to the hospital and ask for a physician or a nurse to render assistance to the victim. So mo na yung mga exemptions sa driver nga dili siya makahatag og aid or assistance sa biktima nga iya nga nadasmagan. So these are the salient provisions of Republic Act 4136. At the bottom portion, you can see the comment section. if you do not understand one salient provision of Republic Act 4136 known as the Land Transportation Code, kindly refer to the comments section and post your questions there, and I will give you the answer in that post. I hope these discussions on the salient provisions of Republic Act 4136 will be applied, okay, as the current driver or as future licensed drivers nga mogamit sa national or provincial highway. Salamat kayo sa paghatag ninyo og time sa paglantaw niini nga video discussion on the salient provisions of the Land Transportation Code known as Republic Act 4136.